So, first of all, Likhaya, I hope I'm pronouncing the right way.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Welcome to the SIGA Youth Council.
Thank you very much.
I would like to start asking you to tell us who you are, what do you do, and what do you expect to reach within the sports industry?
Okay, so I'll start with the first one. Who am I? I'm Likhaya Ntlokonkulu. I'm from South Africa, born in the Eastern Cape, in a city called Gqeberha. But right now I reside in Cape Town, which is in the Western Cape. So what I do is I am currently a volunteer on Bush Radio, which is a community station here in Cape Town, for the sports show on that, which is broadcasted every first Wednesday of the month from 7 p.m. till 10 p.m. And what we do there is basically we look to educate and inform the youth and the entire community actually of Cape Town about various aspects of the sports industry. And one very exciting segment that we have on that show is a careers in sports segment where we touch up and educate people on careers within the sports industry that are outside the conventional careers of being a coach, being a player, or getting involved in the on-field matters of the team. So I also work as a market research and data analyst for Nielsen Sports South Africa. And there what we do is we basically in charge of evaluating brand and sponsorship value for our clients, where we look at brand exposure, TV exposure, radio exposure, and we put all of those through our own algorithms, through which we are then able to determine a return on investment for sponsors and sponsorship deals. And we also do a bit of sponsorship strategy consultancy with a couple of corporate organizations who are looking to get involved into sports. We would then actually advise them on where they'd get the best return on investments if they are to sponsor anything in sports. Moving along to the other question of what do I expect to get within the sports industry, I'd really love to influence change and sustainability within South African organizations. COVID really proved that, the sustainability issue within the country and the sports industry of the country is really critical, and it really needs to be addressed quite urgently. So that's the biggest thing for me right now. It's influencing change and sustainability. And, like any other young person within the sports industry, I'd love to reach the upper echelons of the sports industry and actually be amongst the leaders of the industry.
Why did you decide to join SIGA and the SIGA Youth Council, obviously?
Probably the most obvious answer to that would be gaining experience. Gaining experience on an international platform and actually getting to network, which I think are the two biggest influencing factors for me. But more than anything, it's just the opportunity, to continue with a short-term goal of mine, which is to facilitate conversations and environments which allow the freedom of expression. So, by me getting involved with SEGA, I believe that, I can continue with that short-term goal of mine and actually, allow the African youth, which has been closed off within the sports industry, just to share their own challenges and, get some feedback from our peers from an international perspective of what they feel we could do better within the continent, and also, contribute to other people and their challenges on an international level.
Okay, so Likhaya, being a comms expert and being also a young person, what do you think is the role of the SIGA Youth Council in promoting sport integrity? And how do you think that communication can have an important role in that?
The SEGA Youth Council, the role of the SEGA Youth Council is to engage the youth within, the SEGA's reform agenda and their plans towards driving good governance within the sports industry. And specifically, the SEGA Youth Council is the voice of the youth, and it is the voice of SEGA to the youth in educating and promoting sports integrity.
Okay. And you know, SIGA has 4 areas covered by the SIGA Universal Standards on Sport Integrity. And I would ask you, we have financial transparency, good governance, sports betting integrity, and also youth development and child protection. Which one do you think is the most critical issue regarding sport integrity nowadays?
I think nowadays, the most critical one is financial transparency and good governance, especially from an African perspective. If you look at Africa in retrospection, African sports, a lot of the times, you know, we've become synonymous with corruption, and however, things are changing. You know, with CAF getting a new leader, and a lot of other organizations changing leadership. You know, in South Africa, our South African Football Association is having its elections coming up. So there's an opportunity there to change leaf. But, you know, there's a lot of corruption that's been associated with Africa specifically. So I think the most critical would be financial transparency and good governance, and just, you know, changing the perspective of a lot of people about African sports. But for me personally, I believe youth development and child protection is the most critical. Because that is the area where I first got involved in the sports industry as a coach, as a player, and then became a field hockey coach. But, you know, looking back now, there have been a couple of incidences, you know, with our National Gymnastics Federation also experiencing, you know, some issues in terms of child abuse with a coach within that their sporting code. So I think that is a very important thing. And, you know, I'm looking forward to the universal standards on youth development and child protection that SEGA will be putting out later on in this month.
It's very interesting that you mentioned your own experience now, and this is not scripted. How exactly do you think that the universal standards on sport integrity could have been a help to you as a player first and then as a coach?
More than anything, you know, the universal standards set the bar. And I mean, as a young person, if those standards were there in my time, they give you that knowledge that, you know, this is what should be happening. And should anything deter away from, should any actions of anyone that you come into contact with within the sports industry differ from those standards, you know, then it raises an alarm within your own self that, you know, some things might be going wrong. And then it also allows you as the young person to actually say, hang on, I believe things should be happening this way because the standards clearly state this and things are not happening like that. So, and I think right now, a lot of people are kind of left in the dark in terms of child protection and safeguarding. More than anything, you know, a lot of people are winging it. A lot of federations are taking those issues and developing policies as they go along and as, you know, situations and challenges arise.
Thank you, Likhaya. It's wonderful to see how well documented you are, and I am wishing you a great term at SIGA, and I hope you can achieve your goals, which are exactly our goals too. Yeah. So welcome, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.